Meaning of career has changed a lot over time. When I was younger, career was all about success and money. But at the end of the day, the older I get, my life value governs me rather than the ambition towards the career.
What makes me happy at work is just knowing that I'm in control, right? If I want, I can take my Wednesday off. I can decide on a Sunday that I feel like getting something done today, and I just work the whole day on Sunday.
Right now, we're very focused on specific tasks, but increasingly it's important to upskill yourself and the willingness to learn and be comfortable with unfamiliar situations.
Change can be really frightening. People are scared of it because it involves trying out new things, it involves going out of their comfort zones, it involves sometimes dealing with the fact that we might fail if we are trying out new things. But when I look at a place like this, if a place can reinvent itself, right? If shops and history can be preserved even as they try out new things, if we can repurpose our places, then can we not also repurpose ourselves?
My name is Aaron Maniam. I think of myself as a curious generalist. I'm also a poet, a policymaker, and a futurist. I'm interested in how governments and societies transform themselves with the use of technology. I'm conducting a social experiment to see if we can become happier and more fulfilled at work by developing ourselves into polymaths, individuals who have one core expertise supplemented by a broader range of additional skills.
Hi, Raymond.
I've recruited 4 volunteers for this experiment. What can we uncover about our future work selves through their experiences across the space of 4 months?
Yes, I knew that!
Over the last 4 weeks, I've put 4 individuals through a range of experiences designed to steer them towards becoming a polymath. That is, someone who has more than one core expertise. Sarah Manning, a freelance yoga teacher, has been trying to get back into a market now dominated by social media.
Yeah, it's just tough.
I got her on track to expand her digital skills by sending her for a crash course with a tech entrepreneur.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Abby Simone is a singer-songwriter who's trying to diversify her skills.
I want autonomy.
I sent her on an internship with a PR firm to learn how to combine different skills to run a project. Pang Fu Wei is trying to overhaul his family business by introducing technology and a modern company culture to a traditional retail business.
I think that our business model is all retail, traditional bricks and mortar.
So I introduced him to someone in the tech business to learn how they manage their staff.
I think we have a strong culture which kind of defines who we are.
Raymond Chan is a data scientist who has just taken up a managerial position. He needs help to communicate his ideas better.
You all ready to wow me?
I will try my best.
Excellent.
I decided to be his mentor for this by having him take me on a guided tour to help him hone his communication skills.
Okay.
Stock exchange.
I believe they are now ready for the next step that will take them back to the classroom.
People can change in all sorts of ways. They can do it through feedback, they can do it when they are taught something in a new way, but they can also do it when they learn in a formal setting. Now, a lot of this learning used to happen in very long courses, like university degrees or college diplomas. But increasingly, we can think about learning in new ways, through short, intensive courses. They're called micro-credentials precisely because they're short and intensive. I think this sort of micro-credential could well be the kind of thing that our 4 personalities really benefit from. And I'm hoping that they can try out new things in these new settings.
But what kind of learning would benefit my 4 volunteers? I decide to start with Raymond and Fu Wei. Both have people to lead and both need to communicate with their clients and staff. Perhaps it would be good for them to reinforce a basic tool of effective leadership.
To be honest, I mostly did not have a lot of training in articulating and communicating.
Hi, Rich.
Hi, Aaron. Nice to meet you at last.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Great. So where are we heading?
Let's go this way.
Okay.
Come with me.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's this way, Aaron. Here we are.
Nice.
So it'll be a small group?
It'll be a small group, and as you can see, we're very much focused on a facilitation model, so we'll have people sitting together, which gives them a chance to share their experience.
Cool.
Strategic business storytelling is good for everyone, because if you can use a story in the right context, with the right audience, which relates to them, has commonality, you will have a much better impact. And if you communicate to someone through the heart, you get things done much more effectively. And also, it doesn't make it look like a hard sell. It doesn't look like you're trying to get people to do things. It's a much more persuasive skill.
I think Fu-wei and Raymond will benefit from this course if it helps them unearth the stories from deep within themselves, as well as probe the story of the businesses they are in. More importantly, I hope that they can be more effective communicators.
My name is Rich, and I'm your training consultant for today and tomorrow. One of the important things when you tell a story is telling something that has commonality with the audience, okay? Something personal that you can share that has commonality with your audience is going to be more successful. It's going to be more heartfelt, okay?
Over the last few years, I've never really gone for many business classes.
Pieces of paper, and don't share them, what you're writing, with anyone else at the table. And when you're done, I'd like you to throw them somewhere into the open room. Different directions is good. Right, so first what you do is you take one post-it until I find the person, then I can write their name on it, for example, Ray, and put it in my pocket. That will be 1 point.
Storytelling is the most important skill in today's business. Is that you?
Yes.
Are you a dungeon?
I am a dungeon
The
master.
most important skill in today's business is this card.
I know bits and pieces of this, generally because if you read a lot of books and stories, you kind of pick quite a bit of this up. But I think the interesting thing for me was that I don't normally tie this into a business context.
You can share your stories, you can help each other build your stories. You'll be giving each other feedback on your stories.
Hopefully I can use some of this skills in a more business-oriented context.
When I was a kid, right, I was actually very interested in science and nature. First morning, I think we really just had to talk about our own story. So basically just timeline our entire lives up to this point.
So basically my science career more or less was halted when I essentially ran out of funding. Once you run out of money, you get kicked back to Singapore. And I had to restart my career as something else.
And then get feedback after on how it was it engaging, was it interesting, and how could we do it better.
Any feedback, comments?
I like the story progression,
Right.
And actually I think you need to play up your setback more. In terms
Setback.
of
Wow, play up the setback more, okay.
research dollar drying up, and then maybe talk a little bit more about your emotions, like how did that make you feel?
To be honest, it's actually not something that most data scientists do a lot of, because we tend to be very interested in just working with the data, working on the models and building things out. And then once it comes to explaining stuff, most data scientists are like, this is talking to management is not the most fun things we do, and we'll go find something else to do.
What makes a good business story? And that is your question. Would one of you please present to the group? Stand up, it's your moment to shine. Please share with the group.
So what makes a good business story? I think in order for it to be a business story specifically, the most important thing is that it has to be objective driven. The next thing is we have to make sure that a good story is tailored to your audience. And the last thing is that the story has to be engaging. And what does that mean? It has to be authentic, it has to inspire and trigger an emotional response. What's interesting is I've never actually taken a course on storytelling before. So it's a timely reminder to make sure that whenever you are crafting a message, you should always be thinking about your audience, the purpose, and ensuring that the content is engaging.
With Fu-wei and Raymond engaged in their storytelling course, I turn my attention to Sarah. I want her to be a step closer to harnessing technology in her work as a yoga teacher. Over the last 4 weeks, she's already started vlogging about her experiences, as I've asked.
So this is the first of my vlogs in India.
Now, I'm pushing her to use her new vlogging skills to get on Skillshare, a community site where individuals trade knowledge through clips and other media.
So Skillshare is an opportunity to become part of the internet skill sharing environment.
She'll need to figure out how to navigate the world of digital marketing. And this is where I'm going to give her a bit of help. Anna Mellon is a business coach who conducts training for companies and individuals in the art of digital marketing. She'll be Sarah's guru for this next intervention.
I need some help with understanding marketing in how it is done today. So Anna is going to handhold me through that process.
Is there a specific purpose for this?
You know, in the old days, people would pick up the phone and say, Sarah, I need a yoga class. These days, what young yoga teachers have is they have an Instagram with lots of amazing photographs doing finger balances on a cliff.
The purpose of today was obviously just to get to know her and the challenge, but also for her to think a little bit more deeply about, you know, her customers. Let's be aware of the fact that we have customers who pay money.
Yes.
We also have users in some scenarios.
Yes.
Do you have customers and users?
Who is my customer? My customer is actually the school that takes me on, and the users are those teachers that learn from me. So I actually have to sort of rethink. Normally I think about the end user, but I'm actually not thinking about my customer.
How can we understand their needs? How can we understand their challenges and build solutions around that? We're going to look at innovation frameworks. One of them is going to be design thinking, and the other one is the lean startup methodology.
So today, and I've been learning about design thinking, which is usually with marketing, you say, oh, I've got this great product, let's see who we can give it to. And she's basically saying, no, go right back to customers and really dig deeper. And that will give you a product that's worth selling.
How are you?
Beyond using technology to market ourselves, how are digital disruptions affecting the way we work and live? I feel that I may need a course in this myself, from the experts reshaping how we view the 21st century world.
I'm here at the Institute for the Future. They study long-term trends and how they will affect us today. I'm going to be meeting with Marina Gorbis, their executive director, who with her team has been studying the future of technology and how that will impact workforces of the future. Hi, I'm here to see Marina.
Okay, go right in.
Cool, I'll head on in. Thanks.
All right. There you go. How are you?
Marina and her colleagues are already experimenting with new ways to be present for meetings, without actually having to step into the office.
Marina, let's start by talking about the Future Work Skills 2020 report that you and your team recently put out. What are the top proficiencies and skills that you identify in the report?
People always want to know what are the jobs of the future. And so when we were starting this work, we were also asked, what are the jobs of the future? And we actually said, you know, all of these predictions about what jobs will be have been always wrong, because you really can't predict what the jobs will be, but you can see what skills people will need, because you can see what technologies are being developed, you can see new patterns of work. So rather than looking for what the jobs of the future, we basically looked at what are the skills that people will need to navigate the world of the future.
We're seeing a growing trend these days of smart machines in offices. What kind of questions do we need to answer as workers, given that trend?
I think increasingly we'll have to learn to work with these systems, and we will need to be able to learn to take the best of these affordances and these machines and these software and figure out what's our comparative advantage. What do we bring to these kinds of communications and interactions? But ultimately, it is about us working with machines and intelligent systems in a kind of symbiosis.
One of the things you identify in the report is the idea of the T-shaped individual. Tell us more about that.
That came up with one of our expert workshops, and actually I think it's Jim Sporer from IBM Research Labs. He brought that concept to us, which is the idea that to really be successful in the new world, you have to be kind of a T-shaped individual, meaning that you have to have expertise in an area. You have to be grounded in some area, but then you have to go broadly. You have to connect that expertise. So if you have expertise in data analysis, you need to be able to also talk about biology and connect it to biology and connect it to anthropology and ethnography and all these things. So you want to be deep, but you also want to be broad. In some ways, I tend to think of them as kind of Renaissance people, Enlightenment people, whatever you want to call them. But here's the thing, I believe that in this world, we increasingly work collaboratively, and it's everything that we produce is probably not a product of one person. So I think if you look at that sort of network dynamic of collaboration, there are all kinds of individuals that can contribute and are needed to get something great going. And so I don't think everybody needs to be a polymath, or not everybody needs to be a Renaissance person, but it's like the mixture of the group that's important.
Right. I think the most important thing Marina said to me was we shouldn't focus on the jobs of the future, we should focus on the skills and competencies of the future. There is a difference between the jobs we do and the skills that we will need to have to do them. I think this is something that Fue and Raymond and Abby and Sarah will need to remember, that as they reinvent themselves, as they go about dealing with the new technologies that they face, it's not about new job functions, but new skills that they will need to acquire. And if they keep this in mind, I suspect they'll be able to navigate all sorts of changes in the future of work.
My meeting with Marina reaffirms the design of the second phase of my social experiment, bringing the 4 volunteers back to the classroom for micro-credential courses to pick up new skills. But it's not one size fits all. I'm thinking that I may have to take a slightly different tack with singer-songwriter Abby Simone. As someone who's already pursuing passions in life on her own terms, I suspect what's lacking could be her knowledge about how things work in the corporate world. For her, I decided that she should continue her internship with PR firm Rice Communications.
So on my way here to intern at Rice, it was like, okay, what am I going to do? What if I can't complete the task that they give me, you know? Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
It's really early.
All right, welcome to the office.
Thank you.
So how have you been?
I've been busy.
All right.
Yeah, but also really looking forward to today, like for today especially, to see what I'm like gonna do, what you want me to do. It's been a while, right, since I like even stepped into an office space.
Abby hasn't been in the office for a bit, like she's been freelancing for the past 4 years.
Right now we're planning a festival for one of our clients. So we're looking at engaging influencers to sort of generate buzz about the event and sort of let their followers have a taste of what they can expect by going to the event. Yeah. So what we will need your help with is look through and see which influencers would be appropriate.
Today at Rice, I had a task which was to find influencers for a particular festival that Rice Communications is sort of in charge right now. I already have an idea of like who to get. Yeah. I think instead of just worrying about who to get, I think I just want to work more on how the person can, if she takes over the Instagram, right, how to make it different.
As Abby learns how to create buzz for a PR campaign, Fue and Raymond are gaining new insights on how to communicate ideas in a business setting.
We are going to do structuring your story this morning. We're going to look at structures for storytelling. Okay.
Unexpected takeaways from these 2 days, the types of storytelling frameworks.
You need people. You need to personalize your story. You need real people, real example. And to be honest, if you can add dialogue to those real people, it's going to make it even better.
I think for the both of us, a lot of these things, we have encountered it over the years through our professional experience. But we've never really taken a class which spelled it out and distilled it down into these sort of frameworks. I'm going to talk a little bit about my company because I haven't had any time to prepare. And I think this is a topic that I'll be quite comfortable sharing.
If you're talking to 16 people, try to engage those 16 people with your eye contact by actually looking at them.
After attending this course, it's a really good reminder that it's important to watch yourself, because what you think is going on, and what actually is happening in reality is usually very different. Profitability and growth is stimulated by customer loyalty. And the best way to get customer loyalty is to take care of the people within your organization. You have to really just keep practicing your speech, be very conscious about what you're actually doing, your body language, your cadence in speech.
She basically worked in an analytics firm, and then she came to one of our meetups and participated quite a number of times. And we basically matched her with a non-profit. I need to talk more slowly. That's a big one. Basically, a lot of these projects, right? Good intentions are not the only thing that you need. There's actually a lot of other factors that contributes to trying to get I probably need to. Mostly I think the delivery is an issue.
The delivery, staccato, it's very, very fast. It will undermine the clarity of your message to the audience.
I will have to work on that. My apathy for corporate speak has reduced somewhat.
What? Why?
I really can't stand corporate speak.
Raymond. Well done, Raymond. Good job. Anything to grab?
Actually, this entire course was about, telling stories, how do you become more authentic, more relatable, more personal. Thank you. I think it's super important because I think the majority of my work actually is about influencing people around me. So the right way of influencing them, of course, is storytelling.
Honestly, what's on my mind is like, oh my god, this is something I can do. This is a job I can actually do. Yeah, like come in, maybe not 9 to 5, but like I can see myself doing it as a job.
Why?
She really showed the thought process that came out of the assignment, and it wasn't just taking a brief and executing it. She really thought about it from her point of view as a musician. What does she want out of it? And I think that's where it's always valuable to us as well.
Oh, you're done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to bring the laptop here or?
Yeah, maybe let's sit somewhere over there and then we can discuss.
It's my first task as an intern. So let's hope that I at least hit 70% of whatever was required. I have a nice balance of people with great personalities and funny, and people with the amount of followers that we need for this. So the first person that I thought of is this guy called Andrew Marco. This is for the theatre aspect. He only has about 1,800 followers, except he's really, really funny. When it comes to event, to me personally, I feel it's more than just how you look, but it's really how you carry yourself. You know, how funny you are, why do people want to listen to you? You can be the most beautiful person on the planet, but I don't see how you would benefit a social media takeover just because you got 200,000 followers. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's won awards and all that lah. So that is one idea I had.
Abby herself comes from the art scene. She's a musician, and that's something that she's very passionate about and definitely showed. So she did find a number of influencers that we had not heard of before. So I think that's sort of a value that she brought to the task.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what to expect during
Abby may have done well for this part of her internship, but how will she and her fellow volunteers put what they have learned into practice?
Today is going to be our biggest day.
My name is Aaron Maniam. I'm a policymaker, a scholar, and also a poet. I'm conducting a social experiment to see if we can become happier and more fulfilled at work by developing ourselves into polymaths, people who have one core expertise and 2 or 3 additional skill sets. The same way Bill Gates was a software engineer, author, and entrepreneur, all rolled into one.
There's often talk about being a T-shaped individual, so having broad general skills, which is the top part of the T, and then at least one area of deep expertise, which is the vertical part of the T. And we need both of those things. I think the key to it is finding at least 2 or 3 areas that we are really passionate about and using that passion to drive the discipline to go deep into each of those areas. And once you've got that passion, then you start to see the connections across the different sets of issues. So I think it starts with curiosity. It starts with using our passions to have at least a few areas of expertise, and then finding connections and being able to join the dots across those.
To help my 4 volunteers come closer to this ideal, I've put them through micro-credential courses to learn new skills. But putting these new skills into practice is another thing altogether.
Swallow it.
Skillshare, how it works, and whether it's legit or not.
Aaron is asking me to create a video and upload it onto Skillshare.
What is Skillshare? Skillshare is an online platform with an active community that has more than 19,000 classes, including thousands of free, high-quality courses.
Today I'm sitting in front of the computer and trying to figure out some of the processes that are going to be involved.
You'll build your class across 3 main steps: designing your class, filming your class, and publishing it to Skillshare.
Working with Anna, the first thing is to define a need and focus on that. But even then, you know, how do I structure it into 2.5-minute sound bites? Yoga kind of doesn't work like that. But anyway, we'll have a go.
Hi guys. I haven't met you before. I'm Abby Simone.
Great to meet you.
I am going to pitch my album launch proposal, and it's something I've been working on for a while now, and I'm really nervous because it's not just music, it's my personality, my story. It also will tell me like how far I've come in my music industry. So what to expect during the launch? Firstly, the launch, the idea that we have is going to be on a yacht. It's 5 hours of non-stop entertainment, free flow of alcohol and beverages, but that also depends on the ticket that the person is going to buy for this launch. We are looking at having 80 people for the launch because we keep in mind that we want it to be intimate, but also at the same time, these 80 will include strangers, people who want to come for the event. The challenging part of my work today was pitching my proposal to Nick and his partner. I've never done it before. The songs have always been about us. So for this launch, because this means so much to me and so much to us, we decided that we want it to be in a venue that represents us. All of us love the beach life. All of us love the sea, the sound of water.
I think she is very passionate about her music and also her vision. She has a very distinctive vision about her personality coming into the event as well, which is really great. But at the same time, I think we also wanted to make sure that she thinks about the bigger picture.
Yes, sunset, yes, beach. But for me, it's a yacht still the idea or the best venue for it. Let's face it, anyone who can afford to go on it will have to be of a certain income level, will have to be of a certain standing in society, I would say. So then does that gel in with the entire story of you and your band and the songs that you plan to write?
When they told me that, you know, the yacht idea wasn't the best thing to do, that was my biggest struggle actually. To just stand there. Firstly, it was the proposal. Secondly, it was to just stand there and listen to them like tell me basically that my idea has to be way better than that.
Because that this is going to be sort of like the first main event that you really hold, whether it's for your fans or whether it's for the different stakeholders that you're targeting, I think it's very important for them to straight away connect with who Abby Simone is.
Yeah.
Have a starting point that you're comfortable in growing, right? Don't start so high up and then you struggle to keep going higher and higher.
I don't want people to think that Abby Simone is this high maintenance person by having her album launch on a yacht. That's not who she is, that's not who I am. I'm super laid back and yeah, so that's who I am, and I think that that message, like Nick and his partner reminded me that that message is way stronger than the venue. Thank you so much.
Don't forget to invite us.
Yes, for sure. Thank you. Thank you.
So you've got a big event coming up, right?
Yeah.
Our annual baby fair is coming up, and everyone's super busy preparing for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can kind of sense the energy in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked Fuwei if he's applied any of the lessons from the business storytelling course.
The British Council course basically was about storytelling. As the MD, right, I am constantly communicating internally and externally with my customers. And even now when I do my marketing campaigns with my team, I always bring it back to the lessons that I learned.
I want to push Fuwei further though. It's not good enough to just craft a business story and tell it. Ideally, he should communicate in a way that creates motivation and unlocks a sense of purpose for projects by helping everyone look at things a little differently.
So I think one thing you can think about is how to move beyond a pure efficiency mindset and think a lot more about the experience of your customers.
So I think one of the big pain points that we faced a couple of years ago was our queues.
Yeah.
We received multiple complaints from the customers, and it really, I think, challenged us to reflect as an organization, like how can we make it better? Okay, all right. So some of our big customer pain points, operational issues were stock allocation, manpower planning. So since then, we've taken steps to increase the operational efficiency, and we also implemented SMS queue system.
I love that you're thinking about this, reducing pain points and making the experience more pleasant. In computer terms, actually, you're kind of trying to improve the user experience, right?
Exactly.
The UX or the UI.
Exactly, yeah. And I think for retail today, right, a lot of people are also talking about digitizing the entire business. How are you going online? People are always talking about like the buzzword omni-channel.
Yeah.
So I think it challenges me to think about how I can use technology as well to improve all of these particular pain points.
Right. Fuwei, this all sounds very exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how the ideas translate into action. So I'll pop by and see how it all goes.
Great.
As Fuwei ponders my challenge, Raymond is being tasked to put his newfound storytelling skills into practice. His challenge is to give a speech at a major event run by cloud-based software company Salesforce. Each year, Salesforce gathers some of the most influential speakers from across the world for a workshop to share ideas. They've given Raymond a 15-minute slot to talk about how data could impact the future of work.
Today, I began by following up on what I typed out last night. I'm just going to call it AI and Society in Southeast Asia. Right now, I'm actually kind of working to how to weave this back into the trailhead. It took me a while last night to actually come up with what the story is going to look like because it was such a mess. What I'm going to describe is basically one of the projects we did. So this project basically was with the Pro Bono Law Society. So this morning, I basically tried to do some polish on it, do some practice.
Really great idea that this program is kind of looking at the future of work. The idea is that they need to do something that's a little bit out of their comfort zone. And so she said, I'm going to do it by base camp, and she did. So if you don't set that kind of timeline, that goalpost to get to, we have today with us a data scientist that's going to come up and talk.
This is going to be interesting. I'm, the pre-talk jitters, so I'm trying to keep calm.
And we'll be giving them away to the most impressive, creative, fun, laughing Raymond.
Thank you. I'm Raymond Chan. I'm actually a data scientist from Chok, which is a dining app here in the region. But my main focus of this talk will be on artificial intelligence. Imagine a construction worker who actually is living in Singapore. Speaking like this, it's tough because I have to remember what I'm trying to say. So I think that's why a lot of things kind of just made it up on the spot. More in-depth look at what's happening in the fourth industrial revolution trailhead. And on the other hand, the AI is creating reach and lowering transaction costs to make things a lot cheaper so that more people can access them. The good thing is that there were students, because they're students, let them relate to how the fourth industrial revolution will actually impact them. It's not kind of a theoretical thing in the future, it's now. It's happening already. Yeah, so think about it and be concerned about it. I think that was what I was trying to drive across. You are dealing with a legal tech startup that is with the right amount of funding, the right amount of talent. I think the pacing was better. That tends to happen when I'm standing on the stage, I think. So I hope you found out interesting, and that's it. Thank you very much. So yeah, I think it was okay. It was not great, but I think it was okay.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
Raymond has had his first taste of public speaking. How will the rest of my volunteers fare in their challenges? In my ongoing experiment to see if we can develop ourselves into polymaths, individuals who have one core expertise and an additional set of supplementary skills, I've sent my 4 volunteers for micro-credential courses.
Filming your class and publishing it to Skillshare.
Don't forget to invite us.
Yes, for sure.
I'm on my way to school. It's my first day after so damn long, and I'm obviously still not used to getting up this early.
Singer-songwriter Abby Simone has, of her own accord, also enrolled herself back in school for a deeper understanding of music.
Right, so I'm in the library right now and I just downloaded session 1.
I've also asked her to take an online course to further her knowledge of digital marketing.
What is digital marketing?
Every time I meet Aaron, it's always about how to have autonomy of the entire situation, correct? So, I know how to sing, but do I actually know how to market? No, it's just bits and pieces from things I've seen. But finally, to sit down and actually go through a course and look at it and be like, what? I didn't even know this existed, you know, and there's so many things that I need to know, like the structure, there's a systematic way of doing things, whether it's marketing, whether it's music, whether it's like a lot of things. So it's quite cool lah, yeah.
So 24 hours ago, this store was still looking like normal and trading with our customers. And from last night, after store closing, we basically have taken everything out and worked till about 3-4 a.m. And then after that, this morning, we started receiving all of the baby fair stocks.
Meanwhile, Fu Wei wants to approach his company's biggest annual sale event through a different lens, broadening the idea of the customer experience and moving beyond the bottom line.
We're setting up for the baby fair right now. In store right now, maybe close to $1 million worth of stock. We'll probably have about 50 full-timers, over 100 part-timers, just helping do the setup right now. Okay. Right now, it's just to make sure that the store is turned over well, make sure that the store has good circulation, that the signage is up, everything is operational already. And then after that, I'll probably go around and test all the part-timers to see whether they've been trained well.
Okay, if you walk past other departments, you see that it's messy. A fashion is on the floor, a shoe is on the floor, just pick it up and hang it back. Do not just walk past and think that there's nothing at the floor. Okay, is it clear?
Even though the baby fair, right, is a sales-driven event, we also have to ensure that the customers come in and they experience the service standards of like regular shopping with us. Yeah, so a lot of our part-timers all come in before the event starts and they are trained by our full-timers so that they know the product, they know the departments that they are serving. What size is this?
60 by 120.
All right, very good.
Ines, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, my pleasure.
So this is the plan. Okay. We're going to create a Skillshare video.
Okay.
So today, I invited a volunteer, teenager, to come over and help me with some filming.
In another part of Singapore, freelance yoga teacher Sarah Manning wants to put her new digital marketing skills to practice. She has enlisted a young friend to help her film training videos for a community-based website, Skillshare.
Okay, we're there, but we've still got it switched on. So let's try again. I have to hold it for longer.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well,
first of all, look, I struggle to see the buttons on the GoPro. They're little tiny buttons at the side and at the bottom.
So first of all, we need to turn that off, that little symbol there, which is the...
This is really, really senior. I mean, am I really that old that I can't see these buttons?
And then I'm gonna...
I'll click it this time.
You... Okay. All right, you don't trust me to be able to press a button on it. Well, you're right, you shouldn't.
All right.
Okay, let's go. So, welcome to this Skillshare video. In this Skillshare video, I want to show you 5 yoga postures. where we actually have an effect on the control systems of your physical body. So there are 5 different sections, 5 little snippets which make the Skillshare. So the first one is the introduction, and I wanted to use slides so that there were pictures, because talking about anatomy is just a nightmare. Dealing with people that know nothing at all about their physical body. It really helps to have a picture, so at least they have an idea what I'm talking about. So you've got a nice feeling of stretch here in the groin. Okay. Inez very kindly allowed me to teach her what I wanted her to do, so she could then demonstrate it and be in the pose while I talked her through it. So let's try it. Breathe in through the nose. And as far as I'm concerned, yoga is not just a physical practice. For me, my passion is to teach people about their energetic body, their emotional body, and how all comes into your yoga posture. So I've tried to convey that in this Skillshare by choosing postures which are easy, gentle, humble, and to really focus on the breathing and the mental aspect within the pose. And to me, that's where the power lies in a yoga posture. I mean, it would be nice to film your fingers separating, but that gets terribly complicated. Skillshare has been tough. Okay. There were a few moments where we just had to stop and I say, look, guys, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing here, or this isn't working, but I think that's just part of learning. All right, happy with that? I think I am.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Okay, so bend your knees. Am I happy with the videos? I think we're just going to go with it. You see, even the television defeats me. After today, I have to say, I felt like I'd been run over by a bus. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. I don't know how you did it. You did one of those magic things that young people do. They just press a button and magically happens. A few months ago, I would have said, you're joking, that's never going to happen. But yeah, here we are, about to put a Skillshare video out there and jump the hoops to see how we can get it to cascade out. So yeah, very exciting.
Hey, Pui.
Hey, hi, Aaron.
How's it going?
Good, good, good. Just doing all the final touches, making sure all the signage is up, and like things are in its place.
It looks like you guys are going to have a busy day.
Yeah. Oh, it's always the first day is the busiest, but that gets everyone, you know, like amped up for the entire event itself. You can see that there's a massive crowd outside right now.
Yeah.
I think that if people wait more than 30 minutes, right, then that's when it starts to become a slightly negative experience.
Right.
And that's why SMS queue system is super critical. So we let people queue up at the beginning, and there will be a cutoff point after about 100 people.
Okay.
Those people will remain in the queue, and everyone behind will register them for the SMS queue system.
Right.
Yeah.
What else is new about the store? So you've rearranged the space, you've done the payment queue, you've got your SMS.
I think it's just the layout. I've worked really hard to ensure that the layout of the store is good, and that we're ensuring that there's walkways and there's no choke points within the store itself. Because you can imagine how many people are outside when they all come in, right? It can get quite congested.
Yeah.
It is our 9th baby fair. Today is going to be our biggest day. All right? So once we clear today, you all can do anything. So you all know what you're fighting for. We all want our advance bonus. I want my advance bonus as well. If we hit our budget, we're all gonna get our advance bonus. Okay? And for our part-timers, remember, use whatever is available to you. So you all have your brochure, treat it like your Bible. You all have all of the signage. Don't be shy, look at it. If you don't know a question, remember, ask your superiors. It's okay if you don't know, but the worst thing is giving the customer the wrong information. All right? So anyway, the customers are about to come in. Good luck. And yeah, do your best. Voila!
So I just bought some pasta for my niece because there are princesses on it and she's going to like this stuff. But I also wanted to see what the whole experience would be like of using the payment system and trying out what exactly the in-store sale was going to be like in terms of how they structured the store. It's been great, very seamless, extremely wonderful. I think for each of them, the work that they're doing is quite complex. Right? Fuwei is running a company which is not just about a bottom line, it's not just about neuroscience that he's an expert in, it's not just about managing people, it's all of those things coming together. Abby has to manage both music as well as administration and logistics and people, right, in the partnerships that she has. Sarah has to deal not just with the science of yoga, but the science of communicating with people and the art of dealing with the clients that she has. Raymond has to deal with data science, but he also has to communicate that to human beings in ways that are persuasive and connect with them emotionally. So all of them actually need to find ways to connect multiple disciplines in the work that they do. So they may not need to be very, very experienced polymaths, but they need to exhibit the behavior of polymaths in at least some of the aspects of the work they do.
So far, I've been sending my 4 volunteers to interventions, but without telling them my big picture plan. I think it's finally time to seed my main idea and get their take on it.
Have you heard of the idea of a polymath before?
No.
I think I do.
Okay. So no need to say too much about it now, because it's one thing to understand the term intellectually, it's another to see how it plays out in your life.